What's up, everybody? Finn here. This is not so much a race recap as it is a kind of an introspective look at what we are seeing at the end of races, some of the complaint clips that have gotten sent in, and some various other things. So, really, I want to just kind of, we're so close. We're 30 car fields, 28 car fields at Worldwide Technology. We're doing things that no other NASCAR league can do, and I want to be proud of that. But at the same time, there has to be a smidgen of a higher standard that we're holding ourselves to, um, and it's really just they're only things that you can learn, right? And I'm gonna point very quickly to this isn't to talk shit, but this is to highlight growth. Um, you think about last year with Shanzi, right? Last season, every single time a race would end, Shanzi was lighting up the voice chat. He was frustrated at somebody. Somebody had screwed him over. And that isn't to say that those weren't true, but we just had a very, very, very frustrated driver. Shanzi, since that point, took after the season ended, he went to iRacing and got into iRacing and worked his way all the way up to being a 2K, which is a huge accomplishment. Like, there's not a lot of guys that can hit 2K in iRacing. You know what I mean? Like, let's for scale, right? For reference, there really isn't. Most of the average guys in iRating cap out at about 1800. So to hit 2K is absolutely a speed. But what the biggest thing I saw with Shanzi going up to there was understanding how responsible he is for when he wrecks versus how responsible somebody else can be. Yes, somebody can hit you. Somebody's going to screw you over. Those are going to be things, but there for every two, every 10 of those wrecks where somebody just hits you, gets dumb, drives over their head, and ruins your day. There's 5 wrecks that you could have completely avoided by changing your decision making on how you enter on people and how hard you drive people and things like that. And Shanzi went and learned all those lessons, and now he's the number one driver in the power rankings. He's got an average finish of third. He's got his first win in the season. So if you're wondering, if you're sitting there going, I'm a wrecking ball, or people are just screwing me over, I'm going to challenge you, and I want you to say, hey, how much ownership do you have in your accents? And so as we turn now towards this worldwide technology, which felt like World War III, let's take a look, because first of all, throughout this race, you know, I thought it was solid. The first stage was fantastic. I didn't really get much of the second stage. My TV went black coming to green in the second stage, and I literally had to, like, I apologize for hitting the 8, but I literally just tried to get the car to the left and then turn my Xbox off as quick as possible. So I didn't really get to experience much of the race, but as we were going, we got to this point, end of the race. We've got Dinger Magic out front, Snugs following, and Dilly Toon behind him. And it looked like that had kind of settled out. Didn't look like anybody. Dilly was kind of catching Snugs. I don't think he really had a chance at Dinger. Um, but then tragedy hit. So wanted to go on board, a couple on boards here, start there, and then we're going to go through and look at the restart. So here's a quick thing, just because I was finding the clip here. Here's a scenario. We have a battle. Corey really gets tight into the 3. And is this the most egregious contact? No, but this is the kind of things that we see people complaining and frustrated about. That's really just somebody getting tight. Didn't ruin his day, but as we know, you get somebody in the wall like that, they're not going to enjoy that. So just, something happened. Okay. Let's not, get too tight. And there's something to be said about, and I'll bring this up a little bit later, um, about when we're passing cars, especially at a track like this. Like, when we say, like, hey, if you're catching a guy that you're faster than, right? And this is too wide. We're gonna see Bobby Lee kind of in another scenario here later, as well as Plasic. But if you're gonna make a pass here, that's your area to make the pass. That is area for clean pass. This is area for, I don't want to pass him on this corner, so I'm going to follow him. And then obviously what Corey did, which is I'm just going to, looks like he got tight, but I'm just going to kind of put the nose right on you, and it moves you up into the wall. Um, so holding an admin accountable here first before we start holding anybody else, as well as myself for turning left into a wall. But for what it's worth, I couldn't see. Anywho, as we're going, we're late in the race. You've got Meatball here. You can kind of see a little wiggle by Meatball, and then he gets a little bit tight in the corner. I don't know what happens, but Meatball comes on and just crushes. Now, you can see here at the very bottom, or in the rearview mirror, here comes sliding back up the track. And if we go on board with old JJ Franken on this same exact lap, coming out to the backstretch, you could see this car popping up and then destroys him, destroys the field, causes a caution. I am a big believer that while everything after this point is chaos and we're going to critique it, you have to do everything you can when we have these good races that are going to finish on the green to get them to finish on the green, which means if you get tight, right, if you are loose on a race and exit, you need to be thinking about saving it and keeping it off the track, not saving it to keep the car straight, right? Because when you try to keep the car straight or overcorrect, you send your car back up the track. I'm just going to be completely frank, and this is a couple points here. One, there are 6 people in the league who are good enough to save a car that's full spinning back into keeping it straight without losing position. There's maybe 6, and I, on a controller, am not one of them. Okay. So reality check with yourself. If I am sliding or I'm losing it, you trying to save it, you are probably going to snap this car right, back up the track, and ruin other people's day. Okay? So just reality check. Here's a second reality check, and this is going to go to my boy Hot Lab Jimmy, because I'm not going to go back earlier. At least it might come up later, so we'll see if it does. But hey man, fellas, if you're a 15th place guy on the day, on 4 tires, on equal tires, you should not be taking 2 tires on a pit stop. You shouldn't be. If you are not a top driver on the track, taking 2 tires for track position on a restart. Now, if you take 2 tires on a green flag, stop, because you are fuel only, right? We've seen like trucks do that. We've seen other guys do that. Come down, take a risk, save their tires, take fuel only, try to gain a couple. That's different because we're all strung out, and when those tires eventually do catch, and if they do pass you, no harm, no foul. But on a restart, fellas, I can't force somebody to not take tires, right? Because or I can't force somebody to take 2. But if you are staying out in front of the field on old tires or 2 tires, and you were not a top 5 car before you did that, you were wrong. Because that is what's causing massive checkups and everybody to run all over you, and then massive wrecks. So let's have a reality check at skill level. Me personally, I am not going to be taking 2 tires and being old on old tires in front of the field on a restart. Not in this league. We're not there yet. So that's another thing for me. So it's not like, I'm not saying you suck. I'm just saying, hey, if you are a 10th or back place car on equal tires, you're probably not good enough to beat the leaders for more than a corner and a half on old left sides or old tires at all. Okay, let's go take a look at some of these restarts. Gonna pivot here and talk about something that I was pulling up some of the various clips that got submitted, and obviously nobody's perfect, right? But what I wanted to bring up some of these clips is I saw this at least 3 times. And this is going to be kind of the standard going forward, right? This is the end of stage 2. We've got a battle for, it looks like, second. You've got Bob Lee Swagger up here. So 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. So these cars are battling. And Bob Lee Swagger is taking a high lane. And his intent on, of course, with all these other guys fighting, you see they're all fighting. He gets a good run. They're tight. So Bob Lee Swagger wants to take this 3-ish wide. If you are taking it 3 wide to the bottom, you are the car that is going 3 wide to the bottom. Your lane is the bottom lane, not the most bottom of where the cars are. Your lane is the bottom lane. So that means the expectation is going to be that this car goes right here to the bottom. And he doesn't. You know what? In hindsight, these guys kind of get blocked down. But getting tight and turning this car, I would say this is less egregious than the other one. It does look like he's getting a nose towards the bottom and kind of maybe gets hooked. So this isn't the most egregious. He does cause the contact, and that's, again, that is still on the 3 car here, right? Like these guys are battling and you make a move underneath them and then get tight. Like, that's on you. Like, you're driving up the track. You know, that's where these cars are. So I would still put this fault on the 3, getting Shanzi turned here. That being said, I just want to make it very, very clear that if you're going to take this low, like, you're the bottom. Even if you take it low initially and get a little tight, and that could be netcode that drug him up, I'll give a little bit of benefit while we're here talking about it. But as long as we understand the standard here, fellas, you go to the bottom. You are going to the bottom of the racetrack, especially at a track like this where the, turns are a little wide, but there's not 4-ish lanes per se. So that's there. Let's go see if I can find the other one. All right, here's what I was thinking more with C place here. Again, coming to 2 to go. I get it. We're fighting. We're battling for position. We're up here fighting for the top 5. Getting into this turn, again, an early lift out from Placek. And as you can see here, those that early lift out get better drive off. And you've got Fat Randy and Dilly Toon next to each other. The move to go low is here. That is the move. If your game plan is to take these guys 3 wide on exit, we're here. You've got to go low. Placey doesn't really do that. Kind of keeps it middle. And because of this, we're now 3 wide in all these lanes. And of course, cars are naturally going to go up. Placey comes up. And he gets a hold of Fat Randy. That turns him and then gets himself turned. And then, of course, there's chaos. So, again, is this dirty driving? No. I don't see this as dirty driving. I see this just as, hey, in that moment, it really looks like Placek just is thinking about holding his line, really, and running his turn. Placek was voted the cleanest driver of the year last year, and I believe he won... Did he win Worldwide Tech Lot? No, he won Loudon, which is a similar race. And we got worn right sides here. Like, what I'm saying? Everybody's dealing with some handling race cars. So this isn't dirty per se. But I just want to make it very, very clear that, hey, who's at fault for this? Some drivers, this isn't, just be clear, this is not what Placek said. But some drivers will go, all I did was hold my line. I held my line. What are you talking about, Finn? I held my line through the restart. I entered the corner. I enter the corner in this lane. I didn't drive it in too hard. He didn't drive it in too hard. He didn't get super tight. Hey, Finn, I didn't, look, I even let him go. But at the end of the day, when the circumstances of the corner change and you are the car behind, you've got to take this line. That's the line you have to take on exit so that this is going to work. If not, and he might go, oh, I even got turned down on. It's not the case. You are the one that is taking the group 3 wide here. So you are responsible. And this is the downside of this camera angle. So again, when I say dirt, I'm not just harping on C place, but it's just to show that it's like minor decisions. Even a camera angle, he might not have even known that he was next to them. As far as I can see, I don't even think he gets a 3 wide call. Let's see if the spotter gives 2 to go. Yeah, spotter never even mics up and says anything. I don't have the audio on my ears, but I think it'll at least, pop up and say if somebody's high. So he might not even realize his nose was there, and that's acceptable. But just if we're gonna get a run on these guys, I need that 3rd car low. Otherwise, the expectation is you blend in behind them, right? And again, what does that mean? Well, it just means that if there's contact like this, that's on you, right? And then of course we have a huge chaotic wreck as a result. So between between a couple guys staying out on 2 tires and getting destroyed, between Bob Lee kind of getting into those guys earlier, there's some things that we can absolutely clean up. Let's take a look at some of the other complaints. All right, this is a look at one of these restarts here by the 48. So again, kind of talking about like what are our rules on restarts. I get, especially here at the back of the pack, right? Like, and how much time we have left on the green. Okay, so this is green white check. I get it. It's the end of the race. I want positions. I want to maximize. I want to say this, which is if we're 19th to 23rd, that's where we deserve to be, fellas. Trying to full send or doing anything or overdriving to try to go 3 wide, or I get it. Just we're at the end of the race, accept it, because what we don't need is a ton of restarts. So as we're coming to green, what are our rules? Our rules are I don't want to see 3 wide going into turn 1 on restarts. If you are behind somebody, your job is to not go underneath them or to shove them up the track on the bottom lane. You are not to be changing lanes. So let's see what we have here. Coming to green, 48. Now, I don't blame the 48 for this too much because of the big checkup, right? But here's the deal, right? All these guys are into the corner. Your job is to do exactly what Blazer did, which is we're staying in line. Okay, that sucks, but Blazer did the right thing, which is, oh, damn, a little bit of a checkup. Now look at the 48. I can't justify that, brother. We're full sending into the corner way too fast. What we always say is, if you're passing cars like they're standing still, you're probably wrong. Here we go too fast. There's a ghosted car, which probably was a part of that checkup. We're in the grass because we're overdriving. And then we shoot up the track and take out 2 race cars. And then somebody else gets spun ahead. So, simply put, fellas, there's some things that we could do better. And I think we're really close. And this isn't meant to call out a single one driver or a single one, scenario. It's just many decisions, right? For example, if Meatball, and granted, Meatball's already taken accountability for this. Had Meatball kept control of his car and not come back up on the track, this race ends green and none of this stuff after happens. We're just getting way, way too antsy on those 5 to go restarts where some of you've got tires, some of you don't. This is going to go to my bad drivers to say, hey, stop overdriving, just take it where you are, patient, let's end this race. This also goes to my good drivers. Quit being so fucking aggressive. Okay? This is not your career mode. It's not. It is not your career mode where we're all NPCs and our job is to move out of the way because you have fresher tires and you want to get up through the field. I get that you want to get up through the field, but full sending it on lap 1 of a restart just because you have fresh tires into the bottom and being like, I'm no more Mr. Nice Guy for me, fuck this, I'm going to eat. Like, no. I mean, I'm going to look at like Corey on his restart, and I felt like he did a really, really good job. Matter of fact, let me pull that up. Let me go find Corey's restart real quick, and we'll watch Corey on fresh tires on that last run, and I think you'll see an example of clean driving on a restart versus full sending, if I remember. Might be proven wrong. All right, this is the last couple restarts. Corey's got fresh tires, and let's see. Let's judge a restart. 3. So, coming to line, doesn't step out of line, doesn't overdrive, doesn't come out of line, is what I'm trying to say. All right, go in. Look, check up there. It's sent up the track a little bit. That's okay. Find some space. On the backstretch, realizes he has a run on TBD or TDB. Goes high. Realizes he has a run. Could squeeze up. Decides to go down. Big wreck there. Clears all the way through it. Slow entry back onto the track. Because there was a car high that he couldn't see. Okay. So just like that, Corey not overdriving. Not a part of the chaos. Let's see what else. On the final restart here. In P4. With fresher tires than everybody in front of him. All right, we go green. We got Chauncey, Snugs, Dinger, Corey, Dilly, and it looks like space time behind them. on a green-white checkered. So Corey gets into the turn, holds lane. They get really, really tight. He's driving, but look, a checkup. Bit of a checkup there on exit. Does he throw it like some people would see this run and think, I need to go low. I need to go 4 wide. Or even worse, this gap. This looks delectable. And I'm going to, listen, credit to where Corey, because I called Corey out at Michigan for taking it 4 wide. And that's right there for the taking. Now, granted, it does kind of close up a little bit, but Corey makes a decision to push Shanzi through. This is racing. Then he goes wide. What does Corey do? Does he come down and squeeze? No. Stays into this high lane. And this sucks. This sucks. Shanzi hits the wall. Corey's got best tires, the best run, coming to white. Now, does Corey, being 3 wide, throw the car right into here to avoid this and collect those other guys? No. He does what he can, gets through the scenario. Does it suck? Does it cost maybe a win? It does. But this was a clean restart from a guy on fresher tires with some older cars in front of him. So that's the kind of stuff we want to see. Here, look at this. 3 wide on exit. Takes this car all the way to the bottom, gives maximum room. Now we're beating and banging, but this is coming in the last corner of the race. Look at this. Throws it in there. Holds his lane pretty well. I'd say he holds his lane pretty well. He's able to get clear of dents, and that's a good P2 finish for the boys. So, there's so much good. There's some good racing that's occurring. There's some guys that are being respectful. Please continue to be respectful on the racetrack. We're close. Again, some of the things I highlighted are not dirty driving. It's just small micro decisions that get made that if they weren't made would lead to green flag finishes and make everybody kind of walk away from the race with a better taste in their mouth. Because right now it's like, man, stage 1s are great. Stage 2s are solid. We're getting some, not really this race, but, we're getting green flag pit stops. We're getting some unique strategies. And then stage 3, it's like, I wouldn't even say it's hit or miss. It's 80% miss, 20%. Oh my gosh, that was a pretty solid ending. Let's really, really focus on getting to these finishes green. And that'll just make everybody kind of enjoy those races instead of kind of going, that awkward thing where you get back in the lobby and we're all upset about the last 5 minutes of racing and forgetting that the first 40 minutes of racing was a really, really good time. Appreciate everybody showing up. Appreciate everybody watching this video. And we've got Sonoma this week. It will be interesting, but I think it'll be a good turn as we prepare for Charlotte. So let's stay in it, fellas, and I will see you guys soon.